All right. So as you can see, we are starting a brand new series this week, and you probably got a glimpse of what exactly this series is going to be about, and it's named awkward, and that's a word that you guys probably use a lot of the times when you're talking about certain things, right? That things are just awkward. I'll give you a couple situations, and you can tell me by like screaming, like "woo," if you think it's awkward, and if you don't think it's awkward, just go "boo." Okay. All right. What about whenever you see a teacher while you're eating out with your family? Is that awkward or not awkward?
It's awkward.
Yeah.
That's awkward. Yeah. Okay. Half of you guys, or one of you guys, did it right. Okay. Falling down the stairs between classes at school. Is that awkward or not awkward?
Awkward.
Awkward. Yes. Woo. Yeah. Okay. Your dad telling cringy dad jokes when your friends are over.
Awkward.
Yeah, so that's awkward too. And so dads, know that. It's awkward. Accidentally responding in the wrong group chat with a funny text you meant to send to your best friend. That's super awkward, and I don't think I've done that enough. Probably. I've done it a lot. When someone has something in their teeth, but you don't want to embarrass them. Awkward, yes. Okay, we'll just do awkward or not awkward. How about that? Okay. Waving at someone who you thought was waving at you, but they were actually waving at the person behind you.
Awkward.
Awkward, yes. As you're putting ketchup on your plate during dinner, when the bottle makes a fart noise. Some of you guys think it's awkward. Some of you guys think it's not awkward. Got it. So some of these situations are super awkward. They're cringy. They're uncomfortable. They can be very embarrassing, right? And because of that, they make us a little bit awkward too. I think for most of us, the awkward moments that we are sometimes trying to avoid. Well, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to start in this series called Awkward. And in it, we are going to lean into some of the things that are on the top of your list of awkward things to talk about. Stuff like attraction and sexual desires. Yes, that's right. We're going to spend 4 weeks talking about sex here at church. That's awkward, right?
Yeah.
Some of you guys think it is. Some of you guys, your parents probably sent you on purpose for these next 4 weeks.
Yes, they did.
Because they want you to have the sex talk from us and to know it's a good foundational thing. So, all right. So while you guys will feel weird, I will feel a little bit uncomfortable and weird and strange too. You guys may feel uncomfortable, weird, strange, or even awkward talking about sex. Let me assure you that you are not alone. In fact, those feelings are normal. We're not there yet. Okay. Those feelings are normal, and even though it might be easier for us to avoid awkward moments when we hear the word sex or sexual desires at church, we believe that this is probably one of the best places to talk about it because number one, it's a safe place where you can talk about it, but also because we care about you and we want to help you to understand what it means for you, even if it's going to be awkward for us to talk about. So now there are going to be a few words that I'm going to talk about that I need to define. First off, I'm going to define attraction. And when I say attraction, I mean a feeling of liking or being interested in someone or something. And you're also going to hear me mention sexual desires throughout this series. And Lindsay, who speaks next week. Here's what I mean by that. The word desire simply means the strong feeling of wanting to have or do something. And when we talk about sexual desires, I'm going to talk about the sexual things that we feel, think about, or want to do. So let me give you some actual examples of what these words might look like. When you think that someone is really, really cute, okay, that's an attraction. Or when you get to sit next to someone, when you want to sit next to someone because you want to be near them. When you get the nervous feeling in your stomach when you talk to a certain somebody. Whenever you think about that person you like all the time when you aren't even with them. When that person sends you a DM or a Snapchat with a cute picture of themselves. When you have a desire to express your feelings through kissing or touching. Or when you think about doing things beyond kissing or touching that you're attracted to. Or when you're tempted to look at pictures you find attractive. all of that stuff right there. This is examples of desires that you may have and you may be experiencing in middle school and high school. And here's the thing about that. Having this kind of attraction or these kind of desires, it is both normal and natural. In fact, God actually gave us the ability to experience that kind of attraction and desires in our lives. And yes, it is awkward to talk about it. We understand it is awkward, and we understand that it's awkward for us to be able to talk about it in church. But I want you to know right away, this isn't easy for us to talk about. And I get it, 100%. Sometimes maybe we see or hear stuff that make us feel awkward. Or maybe we want to know more. Maybe we're curious, but we've never talked about it before because we've never had a safe place or to talk about it. Or we're not even sure if we're even allowed to talk about it. And so we are going to give you guys this opportunity. Here's why it's so important for us to talk about this stuff here at church. Number one, attraction and desires are not bad things. Attractions and desires are not bad things. And being curious and having questions about them isn't wrong either. It's not something we have to be embarrassed or feel awkward about. In fact, it's actually part of the way that we are designed. We are designed and created by God to experience attraction and have sexual desires for people. And we're made to express our desires in good and loving and natural ways. And that nervous feeling when the boy you like touches your hand, yes, that is natural, and that is designed by God, or else we wouldn't have those feelings, right? And the problem comes when we're not sure how to respond to those feelings, though. And so we're going to help talk you through some of those things. Trust me, there's an answer for us to be able to talk about it with someone else. And there's a specific plan that God has for attraction and sexual desires. Even if it's awkward for us to talk about, we're still going to talk about it. So, God actually cares a lot about our attractions and our desires. And people who really love God wrote down all kinds of stuff about sex and relationships and desires and how we use our bodies. And we can find all of that stuff in the Bible. And we're going to talk about one of those guys today. And we talked about him a little bit last week as well. His name is Paul. And Paul, as you guys remember, his name was originally Saul and he became Paul. But Paul wrote a lot of what we have as the New Testament in our Bibles. A lot of the stuff that happened after Jesus left this earth. Paul wrote a lot of it. And so he originally wrote these as letters to Christians. And he gave them things on how to live their lives and how to walk through their lives. And so following Jesus was super new back then. And so that's why Paul wrote these letters. He wrote these letters to these Christians because following Jesus was not like something that had been around for 2,000 years like for us. It was so new. And so people really needed to know, how do I follow Jesus? How do I deal with these things in light of that? And so Romans 12:1-2 says this: "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. And this is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." And I know that's a whole bunch of stuff packed into 2 verses. So I'm going to start off by breaking it down a little bit, talking about who God is. And he's someone who offers us mercy. And for us, mercy simply means getting compassion and kindness when you do not deserve it. When your teacher doesn't take off points off your homework whenever you turned it in late, she's giving you mercy. And she's not giving you the bad grade that you actually deserve because you turned it in late. And now because we are all humans, we all mess up sometimes, right? We all mess up sometimes, and we make mistakes and wrong decisions that don't always align with what God has in store for our lives and what God has in mind for us. And we end up choosing to do things that we want instead of what he wants in our lives. And that's called sin. And because of sin, we all deserve to be separated from God. But because of God, God chose to have mercy on us. And he sent Jesus to save us and bring us back into a relationship with him. And that's the ultimate act of mercy. And so Paul was saying that because God has been merciful to us, we can know that he is kind to us. And that means that we can trust him, and he tells us the best way we can live, and we can respond to what God has done for us, his kindness, by living out the way that he calls us to live. He wants us to live with integrity. And integrity means doing things right in all circumstances, even if no one else is watching. And when it comes to our sexual desires, he wants us to live with sexual integrity. And that means choosing to respond to the sexual desires and feelings that we feel, think, and desire in a way that we respect ourselves, God, and others. You see, what Paul explained is that we should use our sexual desires in ways that are pleasing to God. And it's not that we're supposed to get rid of or ignore all of our desires. It's natural for us to have them, but we should respond to them with integrity, and we should respond to our desires in ways that are good, pleasing, and honorable to God, ourselves, and others. And that is sexual integrity. You see, God designed sex as a way for a married couple to connect with one another in a more intimate way than any other way in our lives, and to be connected deeply. And it's a way to express our love for each other. And when we set boundaries and respect other people and ourselves, we're choosing to honor God's plan for sex in our lives. In other words, what we do with our desires matters. Sounds great, right? Sounds great to respond to your desires in ways that are good and pleasing to God, to honor God with your desires. There's no problem with that at all. To choose sexual integrity, right? Got it. It's not that not that easy. It's one thing to read verses like this and to hear messages about God's good and plan for our desires, but it's another thing to actually know what it looks like and to live it out in our lives, right? When we find ourselves curious to watch that YouTube clip, we're interested in holding hands with that new kid at school, or drawn in by those pictures on Snapchat, or we're just curious about the ways our bodies are changing, then what do we do? How do we actually respond in a way that honors God? That's where the end of verse 2 comes in. It says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." We can start by renewing or changing our minds. We can ask God to show us his plan for our desires. We can ask him to change the way we see it. We can to understand it better, to notice how it's impacting our lives, and how we can trust his plan because it is good. You see, when it comes to all of this attraction stuff, God is actually here for you. The way he asks us to honor him is for our desires to actually do a good thing with them. He wants us to help us express our desires in ways that are healthy and positive in our relationships with other people. And to do it as he does. And so we have to pay attention to that. We'll be able to notice our responses to people for those desires and how we should be able to handle those. And we'll be able to notice when someone else is encouraging or even forcing us into act a way that is forcing us to not be with what we want to do for God. In fact, I want to pause here to say that there may be even some of us who feel like there has been a choice that's been taken from you. Maybe you've shown pictures or videos that you didn't ask to see. Maybe you've been shown things that you didn't want to see, and so it's confusing to you. It made you feel feelings you weren't even sure or ready for. And maybe it's even something you feel a little bit of guilt about yourself. If that's you, let me just remind you that if it may never be too late to choose that sexual integrity. For you to be renewed, the choice is still yours no matter what has happened in the past. And someone like your group leader will be able to be a great person for you to talk about what is going on and some of the things you feel right now. Or maybe you've experienced sexual abuse or harassment. If that's you, we are so sorry about that. We are so sorry you've had to go through that. And what's been to you does not impact your sexual integrity at all. Something that has been done to you does not determine if you're honoring yourself, others, or God with your desires. If that's you and you're dealing with that, I'd love to encourage you to talk to your small group leader about it. They want to help you get the support and help that you need and deserve for it. And because everyone in this room, the truth is this: God loves you. He created you to experience attraction and desires. And what you do with your desires matters. So how can we make sure that what we do with our desires matters? Number one, choose sexual integrity. Remember, sexual integrity is choosing to respond to the things that you feel, think, and desire in a way that respects ourselves, God, and other people. You have a chance right now to set a standard on what you are going to allow in your life and what the boundaries will be. And I would encourage you, know what your boundaries are going to be, and don't let someone push those boundaries. Set them firm. And you have to choose what you're not going to watch or look at or think about. And maybe up until now, you've not chose sexual integrity. It's okay. Now is a good time to start and to choose those boundaries and to take those things back and to honor God with those desires. Number two, pay attention. You know, God has a plan when it comes to your desires. And God designed sex as a way for a married couple to connect with each other in a deeper level, and it's a way to express their love for each other. So when you hear or see something that doesn't match up to that plan, pay attention. Notice the things that push you or tempt you to not honor yourself, others, or God with your desires. And number three, talk about sexual desires in a positive and appropriate ways with adults that you trust. They can help you see those healthy boundaries and are a safe place for you to process those emotions and those feelings with you. They can help answer those questions that you may be having about this stuff. And your small group leader doesn't claim to be an expert on sex or sexual integrity or any of that. But I promise that they have more wisdom and insight than you think they do. And they are a safe place to open up to, because what you say in group or say personally one-on-one to them will stay between them unless they have to intervene even further. Okay, so was that as awkward as you thought it would be? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I hope it wasn't too awkward, okay? Because the truth is this: I want you to feel like this is a safe place to have these conversations, to have conversations about this. You see, we want you guys to know that this is a safe place to connect you with people who care about you, people who you can trust, and encourage you to honor God with your desires. And so as you go to your groups, think about this question. What's one area of your life where you can honor yourself, God, and others with your desires? I'm going to pray, and then you guys are going to go to group. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for this day. Thank you so much for loving us and the way you've created us, God. God, I pray that we can continue to put you first in everything that we do. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys are dismissed to group.